The SEC just dropped a statement on tokenization, but unless you're seasoned in the securities industry or in crypto, it's going to sound a lot like financial mumbo jumbo with some crypto sprinkles on it. Let's translate what they're saying. And who am I to do the translating? I'm Hermine, former SEC and White House attorney and former Coinbase. I also teach crypto law at UC Berkeley Law School. There's a lot of noise about tokenization. We did a deep dive on this on my last video. The news is kind of telling us that the sky's going to fall in the stock market because people are starting to use blockchain to sidestep the securities laws. Let's cut through this noise and get you to three things. One, what is the SEC actually saying? Two, why does the SEC feel compelled to say it? And three, let's break down what she said into tidbits we all understand. First thing is to understand that the SEC isn't trying to take on all of tokenization. They're focused on a tiny slice of it. That's tokenized stocks, because they're the Securities and Exchange Commission, not the Crypto Commission. And what the SEC is saying is that regardless if the stock is on paper or in some Vanguard app or on the blockchain, if it's stock, it's regulated by the SEC. There's no magic blockchain that's going to suddenly make the securities laws not apply to stocks. But that sounds pretty obvious. So why does the SEC feel compelled to say this? It's because the hype around tokenized stocks right now is very loud and it's very confusing. It's doing two things. One, it's calming the markets. Securities laws still apply, blockchain or not. Two, it's also calming the crypto industry, saying we need to acknowledge that we live in a 24/7 digital world that's very different from the world of the Great Depression and the laws that were written then. If there's a way in which blockchain can make things more efficient and still provide the same protections to our investors and to our markets, we're all for updating our rules. It's also notable that Commissioner Peirce is making this statement. Commissioner Peirce in particular has long been an advocate for updating the SEC's rules to accommodate the reality of what blockchain can bring to this space. If there's anyone to signal to both the financial markets and to the crypto industry that there's someone who really understands this, it's going to be her. Now we've covered the beginning, we've covered the end. So let's cover the middle, where she provides a bunch of examples for us to unpack. One of her examples of when tokenization falls under the securities laws is sometimes an issuer tokenizes its own security. For example, an operating company or investment company could tokenize its shares. What she's saying there is about when a company like Apple goes public. We have the traditional way of issuing shares. It's on the market. There's a bunch of transfer agents and clearing agents and settlements that go on in the background. That can also take up a lot of time with auditing and record keeping. It's possible that Apple could choose to issue its shares on the blockchain as tokens. Maybe that provides some efficiencies. It doesn't mean that suddenly that those tokens aren't subject to securities laws. She also says an unaffiliated third party with custody of securities issued by another entity might, for instance, issue a new tokenized security tied to the securities it holds, or may tokenize the security entitlements that investors hold against the custodian. She's flagging for us here, you're not holding the Apple stock for yourself. Someone else is holding that stock, and you're holding a token that represents your claim for that stock. This introduces a different risk, not just of the Apple stock's performance, but in the custodian's management of handling those shares. Then she says, for example, a token could be a receipt for security, which is itself a security, but is distinct from the underlying security held by the distributor of the token. Similarly, she mentions a token that does not provide the holder with legal and beneficial ownership of the underlying security could be a security-based swap that cannot be traded off exchange by retail persons. Those examples are similar. Something else that we think about with our Apple stock is that we don't just own the stock. We also have a right to vote on shareholder proposals. We may have a right to dividends. But these kinds of tokens related to stocks are not the same as tokenized stocks. The way that they're tied intrinsically to the underlying stock makes them still subject to securities laws. It's just that you have different rights and different protections. The TLDR is that, yes, this is an SEC much more receptive to blockchain technology than the last SEC under Biden. But two, that doesn't mean putting stock on the blockchain suddenly makes you exempt from the securities laws. The securities laws will still apply. I hope you found this helpful. If you have other questions, drop them in the comments or let me know what I missed.